Now, President Bola Tinubu on Thursday called on state governors to set aside political differences and collaborate with the federal government to build the nation. The president's call was made during Iftar, which is the breaking of Ramadan fast, with the governors at State House Abuja. According to a statement issued by presidential spokesman Ajurin Gelale, Tinubu emphasized the importance of transitioning from politics to governance, noting the need for unity and cooperation among all stakeholders. To help us examine the undercurrents of this call, given the peculiarities of Nigerian politics, we're now being joined by Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale. It's a pleasure to have you on the show as always.
It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Going straight into the matter at hand, of course, it's not the first time we're hearing the president speak of unity and try to bring people into the fold. Given the backdrop of all that's going on right now, how impactful do you think this recall, if I may call it that, for a sense of unity will be?
Well, it is to be expected, given, like you said, the dynamics of politics of the last few days, especially with regard to our separation of powers and our budgeting. What he's trying to tell the governors in this period of Ramadan and Lent is that, we should try to integrate as a nation and look inwards in helping to feed our people and helping to lead our people. What he has said is very pertinent. If you look at the politics of it, you see in the last few days, if you look at the budget and the allegations, which the Minister for Budget has clarified in clear terms, that the last word on budgeting ends in the legislature. The executive is to prepare it, and the legislature is at liberty to add or subtract. But if you look at the undertone of it, you see a north-south divide inherent in that. And you see, at the same time, a religious divide. These are the things that come into play in our politics. And to a large extent, you have managed it well so far. And I'm not gloating. You have managed our religious differences and cultural differences in Nigeria far better than they are doing, especially in the United States now, over LGBTQ rights and things like that. But see, let us look inwards. I think what the president is trying to say, but not in so many words, is that we should be thinking of the United States of Nigeria. You get me? In which all the states collaborate, trade with each other, send emissaries to each other. Even though we are a federation, no state is independent as such. They are interdependent and they move with each other. There was a seminar organized some time ago, or 2 years ago, by the former Emir of Kano, in which they tried to link industries in Lagos with those in Kano. Get me? So that they may exchange goods and services. It doesn't necessarily mean to be in financial terms. If you know things that you have excess in, you can swap with those states that have need. It's called old barter. But in situations where the financial system is literally collapsing, or if you look at the valuation, things are unaffordable, barter can come in, and that can integrate the system and lessen tension and go over the tribal, religious, and cultural differences that seem very, very current now with regard to insecurity and now with budgeting. But then we are crossing every hurdle as we come to them. So I'm hopeful. Yes.
Well said, Mr. Sobowale. Now, in terms of the political implications, there are some predictions of how this could go depending on how the message is received. It's being said that depending on how the governors respond to the call, it could have political implications, that the governors from different parties, if they heed the call, then it could be seen as a positive step towards bipartisanship. But if they decide to disregard this call, then it could actually be met with resistance, and it could further highlight political divisions and tensions. do you see, what is the likelihood of either scenario playing out from your perspective?
I've just said my perspective. But the rational way to look at it is that they will heed the call. Because it's a positive call. It's not telling them to jump at each other's throat. It's telling them to collaborate. You get me? And see what is good in your neighbor and make use of it. And exchange ideas, regardless of party affiliations. It is a call in the right direction. And I think the governors are rational enough to know that he's saying a positive thing and that they should heed it. I don't expect them to have any resistance to that.
Now, you know, in your first response, you'd spoken about, of course, the developments of the last few days, which have been major, and we saw what transpired in the Senate, also resulting in the revival of the South-South Senators Forum. Now, my question to you is, of course, amongst the governors, we also have the Northern Governors Forum, the Southern Governors Forum, and so forth. Do you think these create further division? Do you think that it's time for us to do away with, forum based on geopolitical zone and just let everybody collaborate and work together?
Certainly. And also I use the word integration. You see, you have, the aftermath of the Ningi affair was that he resigned as chairman of the Northern elders, but the Southern senators formed their own body. Then you have the PDP Governors Forum, you have the APC Governors Forum, you have the Nigeria. You see, all these associations are agents of disintegration and division, and they make us lose focus on the road to integration. We had a national anthem before. We said, though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Get me? These are associations. You see, they are class hierarchical associations, and they are in every sphere of life. You have Army Officers' Wives Association. You have General Management of this bank and that association. You have wives of permanent secretaries of this state or that association. No, they are divisional, disintegrative forces, destructive forces. And maybe an effort should be made, one way or the other, to stop them. Maybe if we call ourselves United States of Nigeria, like the United States of America, maybe people will know that, see, we should flow in one direction, in spite of our differences. And we should not create unnecessary diversion. But let me look at one. Army Officers Association, Police Officers Association. When the women meet, what do they discuss? They wear the ranks of their officers. You get me? And these things came in during the military era. When, it had implications for the political system. It had implications for the political system. But let's leave the women and the family aside. It is dissipation of energy to have northern senators. There are demarcations that the political parties themselves should discipline themselves about and call their people to order. They are informal organizations, but they can be very powerful and subvert the formal legal system. So something should be done about it. It is an obstacle to the ultimate integration of the political and socio-economic system. So we should avert it.
Well, in terms of the implications of this call when it comes to strengthening the federal structure, we see that this could also lead to a more balanced distribution of power and resources between the federal government and state governments. That's what's also being taken from this. Do you care to touch on that?
What?
Do you care to touch on that
On
point?
what?
On the points I just made.
Yeah, like I didn't get it.
Okay, that's fine. I'll repeat myself. Yes. In terms of the implications on strengthening the federal structure, it's been said
that's
that
what we have been discussing. I'm talking of integration. These are divisive. All these things they are divisive things. They are against integration. They are against threatening the federal structure. You are not listening.
I was listening, Mr. Sobowale, yes. And I'm asking if you care to touch on the point that was raised that this could lead to a more balanced distribution of power and resources between the federal and state government.
What could lead to that?
Heeding this call. But it's okay if you don't want to answer the question.
I've answered it.
Oh, fine.
As far as I'm concerned. You want me to repeat myself?
Okay, let's take the conversation elsewhere. You know, one of the repeated statements that we have heard since this administration came into office is that it's no longer time for politics, it's time for governance. Now, when you look at healthy and mature democracies, politics and governance can coexist. Do you think we'll ever get to a place in Nigeria where the two can coexist?
I think we can. I think we can.
What will it take, given our nuances?
Let us look at our experience. During the campaign, you remember the rhetoric? Even here, on the campaigns. Then when it ended, you know, things simmered down. But you see, you are very correct. You can't separate, they are not mutually exclusive, unless, of course, you set a time limit. You see, I have a club where there's a time for campaign. Like I said, if you campaign outside, if you do any campaign outside that time, you are barred from contesting next time around. Maybe we could do it, but I doubt if people will heed it. It depends on what is on the ground. I will give you an odd example, even in the United States. Trump was sworn in 2016. Immediately started campaigning, as if he sensed that he would spend only one term. You remember that? Nobody had done that before. You see, the people don't start campaigning until the president has become a lame dog. And the parties are nominating successors. But in our own case, see, I think it's simmered down after the election. Then, okay, you know, we had to go to court. It was still on. It was hot. But it has ended. And what he has said, this is not the first time he's saying it. This is not the first time. And it's up to people, really, I'm not bothered whether they heed it or not. As long as they do not derail or disturb governance. Because an elected government, it has a mandate, and let it exercise its mandate. If you do not do that, you heat up the political system, and there will be destabilization. We need a calm environment for infrastructural development, for people to grow. Yes, that's how I see it for now.
And that's what we'll leave it for now as well. Oh, please go on.
Okay, I was going to talk about education, if we still have the time.
Yeah, we can.
I appreciate the way the Kogi governor went to the tertiary, the head of the tertiary institution, and was asking for help for Kogi State. That you see, unlike other states, he made 40% provision in their budget. That's the sort of thing that other states should emulate. Although that's from my own selfish perspective on education. That is the sort of thing others should emulate to grow their people. In Edo State, I think the digital education that the government is, and they will yield dividends. If you see the people, the students, they are doing fine. The international affairs in digital business, then you will know that they have invested in it. That is part of the integration, unity in diversity. Together, we are more than one. That's how I see it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sobowale, for your time here on Newsday.